Let's face it, some people can make it in this world coasting on their physical assets. They may have a good throwing arm, or nearly indestructible warhammer, or a vibranium shield.
Everyone's got a gimmick now.
Whether we love them or we hate them, these superheroes didn't make it to the top of the Marvel totem pole based on their brawn alone. It was a combination of strength and smarts that brought these Marvel characters the most success, and in a universe packed with super beings and wonderkinds, these men and women just might have higher IQs than the Hulk's level of exposure to gamma radiation.
Okay, what?
But of all the scientists and child geniuses from the house that Stan Lee built, these 10 characters have the most smarts this side of the galaxy.
Guy's like a Stephen Hawking. He's like a smart person.
And while we envy their mental abilities, the smartest thing you can do right now is click on the red subscribe button to stay up to date on all of Screen Rant's brilliant videos.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off, what are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Tony Stark. Tony Stark is the fun version of Bruce Wayne. While Wayne may be the world's greatest detective, Stark's a more freewheeling billionaire, playboy / philanthropist. Maybe it's the fact that he didn't have as dark a childhood, but that's beside the point. Sure, Stark was born into a well-to-do family, but hard work and technical genius allowed him to pursue a loftier destiny than which previous Starks could even dream. Still, his abilities mostly revolve around mastering the power of STEM. You know, science, technology, engineering, and math, to upgrade his armor and turn Stark Industries from weapons manufacturer into the forefront of worldwide technological exploration. Ranked among the 5 most intelligent people on Earth, Tony aced the curriculum at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology before the age of 18, decoded tech from the advanced alien civilization known as the Kree, and is able to analyze every possible solution to a problem so quickly, it seems like he's able to predict the future. Would you expect anything less from the guy who built his first Iron Man suit while held in captivity in a cave? With an IQ that's believed to be between 185 and 215, which is smarter than Einstein, it's safe to say this billionaire has more going on upstairs than Batman. One guy has a butler. The other guy built the butler.
Hey, look at your suit. You've been taking bullets, charging it up with kinetic energy.
Shuri. Shuri was the breakout star of 2018's Black Panther film, even if she'd been kicking butt and taking names throughout the comics for years. The Princess of Wakanda is basically the Q to Black Panther's Bond. Leading a team of Wakanda's finest scientists and developers, Shuri is able to provide her brother, T'Challa, with all the latest gadgets and gizmos. And for all of the harried and excitable comic relief that Q has offered to James Bond throughout the years, Shuri seems like she's full of character quips and impatient one-liners to keep the royal family of Wakanda interesting for quite some time. The director of Black Panther, Ryan Coogler, even confirmed that she has intellect on par with Tony Stark. As someone who's able to manipulate Wakanda's abundance of the rare metal known as vibranium and use it to keep Wakanda's infrastructure running above and beyond the efficiency of most other countries, you'd have to be brilliant. According to Coogler, I thought it would be interesting to see a young African teenager who's manipulated vibranium in ways that nobody else could. As someone who's crafted a supersuit that can expand out of a necklace, soundproof sneakers, and a remote-controlled car, this 16-year-old is Black Panther's best asset and on her way to becoming an ideal Black Panther herself.
Humans are odd. They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be. But there is grace in their failings. I think you missed that.
Vision. Vision is everyone's favorite or least favorite computer-turned-robot with a heart of gold. With all the personality of the Watchmen's Dr. Manhattan, but more clothes, Vision is a thoughtful piece of AI-turned-humanoid character development, and cinema's latest offering of a non-human character learning what it means to be human. We've seen it a lot before, whether it be Data from Star Trek The Next Generation, or the T-800 from Terminator 2, or Haley Joel Osment from AI, or Tom Cruise in real life. Come on, no human being could climb those buildings, fly those planes, or jump on Oprah's couch quite like that. But Vision stands apart as a synthezoid whose physical and mental abilities are both insane. He can walk through walls, exhibit super strength, heal from almost any wound, and harness the power of the sun as a means to fire energy blasts out of the gem on his forehead. He's all-powerful, and having sprouted from an AI created by Tony Stark, he can basically treat the world like the internet, as in anything he wants in the real world is as accessible as, say, one of us looking up something on Google and being able to easily find it. Basically, if the internet was a singular being, it would be Vision, and it just wants to be us, more human.
Now, before we start, I'd like to introduce a very special guest. This company's founder and my mentor, Dr. Hank Pym.
Hank Pym. Tony Stark may have caused the creation of Ultron and ultimately the genesis of Vision in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in the comics, it was originally Hank Pym whose techno know-how created Ultron. While the MCU has Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, as a more supporting character in favor of Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, Pym is the original Ant-Man, and nobody does it better. As we can see in the trailer for the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, he can shrink down his building and turn it into a piece of wheelie luggage. But was the building built with a giant handle inside of it, or was it constructed in miniature and then enlarged? Are the offices just furnished with tiny doll furniture? Come on, Marvel, we need to know! Scott Lang may have the street smarts needed to make a killing as a master thief, but he doesn't have Pym's physics background needed to create Ant-Man's tech from scratch. And the way he works with and manipulates the natural resources around him is like the way a sculptor works with clay, or a magician works with a deck of cards. In fact, it's so magical, he can be referred to as the Scientist Supreme, to Doctor Strange's Sorcerer Supreme. He's unlocked the secrets to shrinking so small he can enter the subatomic world known as underspace, or grow so large as to enter overspace. What a guy!
Your work on anti-electron collisions is unparalleled, and I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster.
Thanks.
Bruce Banner. We'd be moody too if we had that many thoughts whizzing through a brain limited only by the size of a human skull. Ironically, when his body gets bigger and grows into the Hulk, it seems like Bruce Banner's brain gets smaller. Or maybe it's just clouded by his uncontrollably angry emotions. Actually, the Hulk can comprehend enough to start to differentiate between friends and enemies in a battle, but he's still touchy. So it's helpful to make sure you don't end up on the wrong end of a Hulk smash. To find a balance between strength and smarts, a Nerd Hulk was created which combined Banner's IQ with the sheer strength of his alter ego. The result was a mixed bag because while the Hulk's formidable frame was very much the same with Nerd Hulk, he wasn't as dangerous without his uncontrollable rage. Having first been subjected to radiation from a gamma bomb and consistently searched for ways to use radiation to treat his own shape-shifting anger management issues, he's a foremost expert on radiation, energy, and its effect on the masses. In Incredible Hulk number 153, Tony Stark called Banner the best nuclear physicist on Earth, and he's also been called the fourth greatest mind on our third planet from the sun.
You have to work hard. Intelligence is not a privilege, it's a gift, and you use it for the good of mankind.
Otto Octavius. It's a shame such a brilliant doctor spends most of his free time upgrading his robotic tentacles and terrorizing New York. This guy could be teaming up with the scientific community to solve the world's problems. Poverty, hunger, climate change, black holes opening up in the sky over New York to allow swarms of interstellar invaders to attack the city. Instead, he crawls around with extra claws added to his body for trivial reasons. I mean, he still has 2 usable arms. The least he could do is invent a skin cream for the lizard, or an oral treatment for Venom's graphic tongue. But instead, he wastes his time on evil plans that are more doomed than Kingpin's last lap band surgery. Still, the engineering marvel of his 4 mechanical arms is unmatched by the latest prosthetic science in our real world. Having created them to assist in his work with volatile materials as an atomic scientist, he has full control over these synthetic appendages, and can mentally control the implanted tentacles thanks to his brilliant brain. Although an accident transformed him from mild-mannered scientist into the volatile and unpredictable enemy of Spider-Man that we love to hate, he's still cunning enough to ruthlessly lead a group of other unpredictable supervillains in the Sinister Six, which requires a whole other set of team management related smarts.
I realize you're not one for politics. I think there's a chance you may be being a bit naive.
Congratulations, Your Highness. He got extradition.
Yes, Ms. Romanov. I'm sure I have much to learn.
T'Challa. In another comparison on this list to Tony Stark, the King of Wakanda himself might be worth more than the billionaire New Yorker. According to an analysis by Time magazine, T'Challa's net worth is stacked at $90 trillion, making him Marvel's richest man. He's coupled this wealth with a collegiate mastery of engineering, physics, and economics, with a PhD from Oxford and a photographic memory. He's also a pioneer in the relatively new field of shadow physics, a Marvel-based science that explores the quantum characteristics of vibranium. If only all of our world leaders were this intelligent, or this acrobatic, there'd be no more wars. And whenever some president or prime minister took the floor of the United Nations, they just start doing a literal gymnastics floor routine. While Black Panther is also apparently the most stylish monarch around, and he can communicate with his dad thanks to the force-like powers inherent in the purple flowers of Wakanda, his most essential asset is his mind power, which he's able to focus while flipping, spinning, and fighting whether inside or outside his vibranium-laced suit. Wakanda is lucky that T'Challa's family has all the good genes. If only other countries had kings and queens who were so thoughtful and nice.
Peter! You still with us?
Mass cancels out, so it's just gravity times sine.
Right. See, Flash, being the fastest isn't always the best if you are wrong.
Peter Parker. And how can we forget the flagship superhero of the Marvel Universe and the character to really take our current superhero boom to its next level? Back with the release of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films in the early 2000s. Everyone's favorite web-slinger's humble beginnings have been well documented. He was a dweeb before getting bitten by a radioactive spider, and although he beefed up thanks to that arachnid bite, it also enhanced his already potent mental acuity. Pretty good deal, huh? It's his ability to accentuate his powers with scientific developments that make him even more important to Marvel's forces of good. His creation of sturdy and pliable web fluid and web-slinging technology is something that scientists in our own world, for instance, like Hans Schneep of William and Mary, are working on. These scientists are looking for ways to create our own type of webbing material made to match the silk spun by the brown recluse spider. Although it's hard to see from our own human vantage point, spider silk is more flexible than nylon and can be stronger per pound than even steel. Imagine what a synthetic version of this material could do for various industries in our world. And then think of the fact that Peter Parker already figured out how to manipulate it as a teenager.
You know I'm Tony's biggest fan. I've even built tech compatible with his arc reactor, next-gen theoretical stuff.
Amadeus Cho. So we haven't seen Amadeus Cho just yet on the big screen. The more hardcore comic book fans might be asking, why? The more casual comic book fans might be asking, who? Well, ask no longer, because after Bruce Banner was killed off in a recent Marvel Comics story arc, there's a new Hulk smasher in town. Cho is a 19-year-old boy genius and the first Korean-American Marvel hero, created by a Korean-American writer and artist. In his series, Totally Awesome Hulk, Cho was designed to be a counterpoint to Banner's tragic storyline. The kid loves transforming into the Hulk. It's a way for him to express complex feelings with power and assertiveness. And he has a chip on his shoulder, being the 5th or 6th smartest person on Earth. Come on, how can you beat a happier, healthier Hulk? The character had been around since 2006, but his potential as a successor to Banner didn't come to pass until 2015. Coupled with a hyperactive mind that can compute various different streams of data at once, even the eternal Ajax remarked that Cho's pattern recognition abilities are 99.999999993% more effective than any other Earthling.
Show off.
I guess you could say you successfully rocked us Amadeus, right? Lunella Lafayette. In Marvel's push to diversify their portfolio of characters, they recently introduced Lunella Lafayette, a 9-year-old girl with an interest in inventing. Now, we've met many young geniuses throughout our adventures with Marvel, but Lunella, aka Moon Girl, takes the cake as the smartest character in the entire pantheon of Marvel greats. And we're not just saying that. This news came from the Marvel bigwigs themselves. Serving as a sequel to the Devil Dinosaur series from the 70s, Lunella transports the titular T-Rex Rex, from his past to her present, and she replaces the Rex's sidekick, Moon Boy, becoming the titular Moon Girl. As a young black child in New York City who's rumored to have the blood of the superpowered Inhumans in her body, and who's proven her intelligence through her ability to manipulate the space-time continuum, it'll be exciting to see where her story goes from here. Not to mention the fact that she's dethroned Marvel's last smartest person in the room, Reed Richards of Fantastic Four fame. With this in mind, and with all the changes set to occur in the Marvel Cinematic Universe after the Infinity War hits Earth, there's no telling what stories the MCU will be telling us in 6 months, much less 6 years. Maybe we'll be getting an on-screen appearance from Lunella sooner rather than later. And that's the end of our video. Do you think these characters are as smart as they're made out to be? Or do you think you could get a higher Mensa test score? Comment below and tune into the channel to uncover more super content for your viewing pleasure. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. See you next time, and Excelsior!